Hello, my sweet friends. Your host Shurma here. A very warm welcome to my art channel, and I'm so glad you're here. In today's episode, I'm going to share with you how to paint yellow roses on a round canvas. The materials which I would be using for today's project are all listed over here. So let's begin with chapter 1, that is creating the yellow roses with acrylic colors. So here I have a round canvas, and that is around 8 inches in diameter. I have used brown acrylic color and a sponge to create the brown frame around the canvas. Now let's move on to creating the roses. For that I'll be using these brushes. I have a liner brush, a filbert, that is flat number 4, this is flat brush number 5, and here is a flat number 3. Next I bring in the palette for the roses. This is just a simple plastic sheet. So let's have a look at the colors. I have burnt sienna, raw sienna, Naples yellow, golden yellow, and white on my palette. And this particular brush which I'm having in my hand is flat number 5, and I'm loading it with golden yellow and Naples yellow and a bit of white. So that is 3 colors on the same flat brush number 5. I'm loading the colors well, and this will help me to get very good results. So here I'll be using 3 colors or more on the same flat brush number 5 for creating the flowers for the time being, but I'll be using the other colors as well, and you will see that in a bit. So here I go back to my flat brush number 4, and I've just picked up some golden yellow and a bit of Naples yellow, and I'm creating a very loose form of the rose. That is the second one which you see close to the first one. Next I go back to the first rose and I bring in some burnt sienna and I create the middle section of the rose. I'm actually just scribbling at present. The real painting starts now. So here I'm using the flat brush number 5 with 3 colors on it. That is your Naples yellow, white and golden yellow, and I'm trying to create the petals of the first rose. Now when I'm using multiple colors on the same brush, that helps me to create blending as well as highlighting at the same time. Now this sort of a painting technique is called stroke technique, and it is very useful in creating nature elements, flowers, leaves, birds of any kind. Stroke painting requires a lot of practice, but once you get a hang of it, you will not be able to put down your brush at all. At this point, I move on to the second rose, and I'm trying to create a bit of contrast as compared to the first one so that we can differentiate the first from the second, because painting is all about light and dark spaces. So that is what I'm trying to do here. Once I'm happy, I move on to creating the petals of the second rose. When I'm done, I move on to the third. Now the third rose is much smaller and less detailed as compared to the first and the second one. I also need to keep a track of the space available. At this point, I bring in my filbert brush and I'll be working with the filbert brush to create the center of the third flower. The filbert brush is loaded with raw sienna. I'm trying to create the same for all the roses. I'm just reinforcing the centers before I go on to do the details. So at this point, I'm again adding some more of darker colors to the second rose to make the demarcation more prominent. You know, flowers are my favorite subjects to paint. I believe that flowers carry extreme powers within themselves. They are very charming and they have the capacity to induce joy in our lives. Don't you think so? Just imagine seeing a bouquet of flowers when you're having a bad day. Wouldn't that be amazing? At this point, I'm using a bit of the retarder solution to keep the paint flowing. There you see, I'm using white with the retarder and it gives a very dreamy look on that particular section. Yes, so as I was telling you, flowers have been making people happy for ages and they still haven't lost their charm. I feel that we love to gift pretty flowers to express our feelings of admiration and love. What do you say about that? And I believe that blossoms have been used since time immemorial to send unspoken messages of the heart. I love nature and painting flowers is my way of celebrating the beauty of nature. Floral paintings are very graceful and at the same time lovely. And I never tire of painting them. How about you? Do you like painting flowers as well? Let me know in the comment box below. It would be nice to know your thoughts as well on this topic. Here I am using my filbert brush with loads of white acrylic on it and I'm trying to create some highlights. I also went ahead and created a fourth rose off camera. Alright, so let's move on to chapter 2. Painting the branches and the leaves. Here are the brushes which I would be using. So I have a filbert, a liner and 2 flat brushes 5 and 4. Here comes the palette for the greenery. I have yellow ochre, golden yellow, purple, deep green, lime green, white acrylic, brown and emerald on top. So I am using deep green and white on my flat brush number 5 and I've added a bit of lime to it. So there again I have 3 colors on the same brush. I need to blend the colors well. I can also go ahead and add more colors to it as and when required. So let's move ahead with the greenery painting. So here I bring in my flat brush number 4 and I have lime green on it. And I'm just painting around the edges of the flowers. Now this exercise will bring the flowers to the foreground and you will see that in a bit. And it also helps to create a lovely background as well. Whenever you want to lighten the color, just go ahead and add a bit of white acrylic to it. I also use my fingers for some lovely effects. And they really look amazing. Here comes some emerald. Look how it makes the flowers pop. And yes, the background looks dreamy as well. This is a bit of olive green and a bit of deep green as well. Yes, because I wanted the first and the second flower to be very prominent. I guess the background looks good enough, so we can safely move on to the next step. That is, I bring in a liner brush with brown on it and I create the branches around the roses. Now these are rose branches, so they have thorns, remember? I'm trying to figure out where to create the branches so that they look very natural. And also create some hooks on the branches to resemble thorns. There you go. Can you see those? Those little hooks? They are my version of thorns. And that has to be done all throughout the branches. Once I'm happy with the branches, I move on to creating the leaves. Now this is a flat brush number 5 and I have deep green, a bit of emerald and white on it. So here I'm creating some dramatic stroke leaves. I go ahead and add some olive acrylic color also to make the leaves more deeper and darker. So do you like the leaves, my friends? Do let me know your thoughts in the comment box below. I will have a fair idea of what you think of my painting. And it gives me immense pleasure to hear from you, my dear friends. Alright, so here are some olive and white stroke leaves. I'm trying to place them at very strategic points. I don't want to overcrowd the canvas with leaves, but they should be there to, say, frame the flowers. Also go ahead and paint some of the leaves which cross over into the brown framed section as well. These are some tiny olive and white leaves around the 4th flower, which is facing away from the rest of the tree. At this point, I have picked up some lime green, olive green and white on my flat brush number 5 and I'm creating some leaves on the branch which is dangling from the 1st flower. Some more lime green leaves on the top, some at the sides as well. Now I have used various colors to create the leaves and that really brings out a lot more interest in the painting. These are some purple fruits which I have created around the roses and I bring in my liner brush to create some white marks on them to make them look a little more realistic. Purple goes well with yellow, hence I have used this color for the fruits. Once happy, I bring in my flat brush number 5 with golden yellow on it and I'm creating a couple of buds here and there. Those are the little leaves around the bud. I go ahead and add a bit of white to highlight. Next, I bring in my liner brush and use some acrylic white and acrylic yellow to create the flower centers. I went ahead and completed the flower on top, and now it is crossing over to the brown background. I also went ahead and created some leaves below to balance the painting. So here is the complete picture. That brings us to the close of today's flower tutorial, and hope you enjoyed watching me paint the yellow flowers on the round canvas. Dear friends, I had a lot of fun doing this painting, but did you enjoy watching it? Do let me know in the comments below. If you would like to know more about stroke painting, then please click on the icon which appears on the right hand side of the screen, and it will lead you to such tutorials which I have already put up previously on my channel. And yes, if you would like to be in touch with me on my social media handles, you're very welcome. My dear friends, old and new, it has been a pleasure to create these amazing tutorials for you. Hope you find them helpful. Thank you so much for being with me in my art journey. So then, dear friends, we'll be back soon with more interesting art videos. Till then, stay tuned, take care of yourself, and bye-bye.